This is the SCX10 base camp ready to run. And it's a great RC crawler platform for the price at about $340. And out of the box, it's pretty capable for light duty use, but when it comes to more technical and challenging terrain, there's a lot of room for improvement. So improvement is what we're gonna do. Over a few different video parts, we're gonna transform this box stock base camp into an awesomely capable crawler, and we're gonna do it on a budget, trying to hit around $100 per video on upgrades and supplies. But money isn't always necessary, and out of the box, there's quite a few free things that we can do to greatly improve the performance of this truck, and we wanna do the free things first. So, let's go into our lab.
Now, weight is super critical with crawlers, mainly where it's located, and then trying to have it as low in the chassis as possible. A low center of gravity is really going to serve us well. So the first thing we can really do for our weight is choosing the right battery and then choosing where to put it. We have 2 battery mounts, and since most of our weight is on the right side of the chassis with our electronics, we know we probably want to add some weight to the left side because this truck's going to have a right side weight bias. So if we use this mount, we can also remove this one and get some of that weight out from the back. We want to have a front weight bias on this truck. The more the better for crawling, but it's also important to have the left and right side balanced. Now we've got a few different batteries. We've got this EcoPower that's a 4300 milliamp hour. It's a 3S. This will provide a lot of runtime, but it is a bit heavier and it'll probably weigh down the left side if we use this. We also have a few ProTechs. These are also 3Ss, an 1800 milliamp hour, and then a 1400. These will probably give us a better 50-50 weight bias, left and right. First, let's just see the weight of this truck stock, and then we'll throw in these different batteries and see how that affects our weight biases. So on the corner weight scale, let's see. We've got a 52% front weight bias and then a 52% right weight bias. Let's see what this chunkier battery does to that. Interesting, so that made our left side now have a 52% weight bias. That's not that extreme of a difference, but let's see if we can improve it with the other batteries. We'll try the 1800 first. That gives us a 51% on the left. That's pretty good. Our front weight bias has changed to 53%. I pulled the battery back just a little bit and that affected that. Interesting, so we can adjust the battery forward and back too. We'd want to push it all the way forward. So lastly is the smaller 1400 milliamp hour. And our front weight bias is still 53 and we're showing a 51.49. Left and right weight is the closest with that smaller 1400 milliamp hour pack, which will probably be most ideal if we're going to do really technical, challenging terrain. And I bet the runtime will still probably be about an hour, where if we used a bigger pack like this, it'll be several hours. Since we're wanting to achieve excellent performance in really technical terrain, I think we're going to go with this smaller, lighter battery. Now we could just solder on a new connector on our battery or on the ESC, but instead for now we're just going to use this adapter, and that's going to be our battery setup. We've got no need for this battery mount now. And removing that saved us 22 grams. That's quite a bit of rear weight we do not need. So back on the scale, after we've removed that battery mount, we still have a 53% front weight bias. Our rear end has gotten a little bit lighter, but one thing that's really interesting is that when we put on the body, it completely changes our front and rear weight bias. We now have 50% front and rear, meaning this body has more weight in the back because of this accessory rack. And we don't want that. That's going to hinder our performance. So let's change that. And voila. Wow, so not only have we removed 108 grams from the back end of this truck, but we can also get to these body clips a little bit easier, which were hard to access. I think for now, we'll leave these on the truck. They look kind of cool, but let's throw the truck back on the scale. Okay, so that put us back to a 52% in the front, 50-50 left and right. That made a big difference by just removing that rear accessory rack. As far as looks go, I think the truck still looks pretty dang good. Some people may not want to remove those pieces, which is understandable, but it will greatly improve performance if that's your main goal, and for us, it definitely is. Now, there are more free things we can do to enhance the performance. When the tire is flexed up and turns, it hits the corner of this front bumper, and it's also hitting back here. So we can actually, and it's doing that on both sides, so we can actually Dremel that down just a little bit and trim this front bumper so we have nice clearance. And then in the back, it's also rubbing just a little bit back here, so we can trim the body slightly and give our tires just a little bit more clearance to kind of just polish it up a little bit. I think we'll just take off this full corner. So for the bumper, I think we're just going to use our side cutters. These are really good for snipping plastic. So the sanding stick will just take off any burrs and smoothen up the plastic. Cool. Oh, it just misses. As for the looks, I think it still looks really good. And we just have a bit more clearance. So, free to do, it's gonna help out. Now let's say you're crawling and your truck's flexed over like this and you have one shock that's compressed completely. As this angle becomes more extreme, that spring wants to unload and it's gonna boot you over. Now what we want to have happen is as the suspension is flexing, your truck remains as grounded as possible before it just rolls itself over. And so there's a few things we can do. They are going to cost a little bit of money, but we can get lighter springs. The shock fluid in the shocks is also really light. If we had a heavier oil, it would also slow down that motion. Another thing we can also try to do, which will cost minimal dollars, is to make the skid plate a little bit heavier. Of course, the expensive route is to add wheel weights, but we don't really want to spend any money. We want to do things that are free, as close to free as possible. So let me show you what we're going to do to the skid plate. Now check it out. The skid plate has all these open pockets, and the bottom of the transmission just has these little nipples that fill into those holes, but the rest of these pockets are just empty space. Now we can actually take something like this liquid gravity, which are little BBs that are weighted. This costs maybe 15, 20 bucks and will last for a lot of different jobs. And we can fill in all those pockets on this skid plate, which is the lowest point on the chassis, to help pull the chassis down. So I'm just using my finger though to smooth it all out. Dumping off the excess. Cool, so that looks pretty level on the top. And now to seal it all up, we're gonna use some thin CA glue, and I'm just gonna put a few drops in here. I'm gonna use a paper towel to get some of the excess. We'll just let that dry for a little bit. So you can see the liquid gravity down there. The truck is all buttoned back up, and we're gonna do one more thing. We're gonna lower up these collars. We want the truck to get as low as possible, and we're going to put it on the scale to see how much the overall weight has changed. The truck kind of sat a little high, so that's why we're raising those collars to see if we can just get it dropped down a little bit. It would be nice to get it a little lower though. Okay, so the original overall weight was 2619, and now we've got 2633. So what's that? About a half of an ounce we added to that skid plate. So let's see, was that enough to make a difference when it's flexing? Maybe a little?
So this is our first time crawling it out here, and the truck did really good on these chunky rocks. This is not easy terrain, and I was pleasantly surprised to see the truck do so well. It definitely got hung up and had some challenges, but overall, the experience was really positive. We do have some takeaways though from things we noticed. The first, the front bumper got hung up a little bit. It kind of sticks out, and that did limit our ascent angle sometimes. The steering servo, it also struggled a few times when the front tires would get pinned between heavy rocks. You could really feel its strength limitations. And then lastly, the truck just feels a little bit light on the rocks. It feels light on its shoes. It's not getting maximum traction from the tires because it just doesn't feel quite settled into the surface. It's a little bit tippy and it's just a little bit light. But we can definitely improve these things, and for the modifications that we achieved today, the truck no doubt performs a lot better than when it was just right out of the box. And we didn't even spend much money. These were a lot of free mods. The money that we did spend was on the battery and the battery adapter. That was $35, and then the liquid gravity is about $18, so about $53 total. You need a battery anyway, so maybe we shouldn't include that. But the base camp is a great little crawler, and we're only gonna make it better. So stay tuned for part 2, and thanks for watching this video, guys. Go check out the base camp with our links down below, or if you want more RC videos, check these out.